Hey, everybody, welcome back to This Is Why I'm Not Invited. I'm the one and only Nova Nebula, your patron saint of side eye, your dominatrix of truth bombs, your bitterly nurturing guide to why the sexiest thing in the dungeon is no, it's not rope, not even latex, it's etiquette. Yes, dungeon etiquette to be precise. Because nothing drives up a scene faster than someone acting like that guy. Let's do a general recap of who that guy is. Well, I want to make one thing absolutely clear. That guy isn't always a guy. Sometimes it's a girl. Sometimes it's a non binary person. It could also be a they them in a cape with a flogger they bought 5 minutes ago off Etsy, but who are we to tell? Anyways, when I say things like that guy, it's not referring to a gender in particular. It's referring to a state of being, a vibe, a lifestyle choice of cringe. You know them. The hoverer, right? Standing there, way too close to you, in your personal space, less than a foot away, it feels like, and at every single scene that you're nearby and or partaking in, breathing like a pug, not saying anything, but just existing in your personal space and not realizing that they're unwelcome. Then the unsolicited compliments begin. And absolutely, everyone loves compliments. One or two here and there are great. But there's this time and this moment when compliments are no longer genuine and they basically just start flowing out of this person like there's some kind of really boring, repetitive compliment machine. They'll start to say things like, wow, that flogger, it's so cool. Wow, your technique is so amazing. I absolutely love the way that you played with your submissive. Oh my gosh, what kind of dynamic do you have with that person? It would be so lucky if I could have a play partner like that. I would love the opportunity to be someone submissive. I would die for the opportunity to be your submissive. Are you taking any applications? Are you looking? These endless, unnecessary streams of compliments just keep spilling out, and all I want to do is shove a sock in their mouth. Then we have people like the rule breaker. This particular person, they think that rules everywhere, not just in the dungeon, don't apply to them. They think that they themselves are special and they don't have to adhere to anything anyone has to say or whatever rules are in place because they're above that. They're special. They know better. They're experienced. With people like these rule breakers, it doesn't always just start off as this massive violation of consent. They tend to test the waters first. No glass on the floor, but I brought a bottle of wine. No cell phone use in the dungeon. Oh, okay. I'll just run outside and make a phone call and come back in and then do that a million times. Then I'm going to sit in the corner and stare at my phone the entire night instead of engaging with people because who does that? Once people like these rule breakers, they figure out the boundaries that are being set in place, that's when red flags happen. This is when consent violations occur. Again, when these people go to new locations and new spaces, they tend to pretend to be on their best behavior, but in doing so, they actually break a lot of small boundaries to test the water to see exactly how much they can get away with and how quickly they're basically going to get told no if they're going to be told no at all. Let's talk about why etiquette matters. So, why do we care? Why am I always seeming to be angry about this and having some kind of horrific story at the end of every week to share with you? Because etiquette in kink, it isn't just manners, it's safety. It's how we keep people that are in the dungeon safe. It's how we prevent a dungeon event from turning into a frat party with paddles. Here's a funny thing, which actually isn't funny. When you respect boundaries, you actually create a space where people want to play. People want to come back. People trust that their bodies, their privacy, and their dignity are not up for negotiation. Think of etiquette as the foreplay of community. You don't just rip off somebody's clothes and dive on in. You build trust. You warm them up. And when you do it right, ooh, chef's kiss. The payoff is hot. I'm going to give you an unfortunate example of what happened to me years ago. As you know, I am a huge latex lover, and I've been wearing latex for about 15 years plus without dating myself more than I already have. I was at this event, the vibes were right, the lights were dim. I was having an amazing scene in a beautiful latex dress. And then some rando came up to me, basically hovering over my shoulder, and asked, "Where did you get your latex from?" Let me tell you, the amount of self restraint that I had to not finish that swing with my cane and accidentally overreach and go behind my back, I should have been awarded for that. I was definitely 1 second away from losing my shit on this random man. Again, respect personal space. It's very important. Whenever you see a person, specifically a top or a dominant, mid swing with any kind of impact tool, do not walk up behind them. Because if they hit you, which let me tell you, sometimes you're going to get hit, it's not the dominant or the top's fault. Their focus is on the submissive in front of their face. Their focus is the person that they are having that scene with, not some random person that's walking behind them or creeping up behind them to ask the dumbest question during a scene. I wish all of you guys could have seen my face that night, and I wish you were there to witness the foul-mouthed response that I yelled at that man in the middle of the freaking stage. It was epic, and I honestly think that he's never going to do that again. The appropriate etiquette here would have been admire from far away, wait until the scene is finished, then after my scene, after my aftercare is done with my submissive or the bottom that I'm playing with, approach me and then ask me questions about my latex and where I bought it from. Now, everybody, get close. Get really close to your speaker. I have a huge secret to tell you. Etiquette makes you hot. When you walk into a space, understand the etiquette, respect the rules, and treat everyone like a human being with respect, asking questions about boundaries, and essentially getting all of the boundaries and consent set in place, ooh, you literally jump about 10 points up on the attractive scale. In a dungeon space, confidence isn't just how you swing the whip. It's how you walk past a scene without interrupting, without intruding. It's how you introduce yourself without being weird or awkward. It's how you negotiate clearly, listen actively, and respect a no without sulking. Let's continue on with our lesson today about how not to be that guy. Here's my cheat sheet. 1. Don't hover. Watch a scene, absolutely, but give people space and breathing room. If you look like an extra in Paranormal Activity, take 5 steps back. 2. Don't interrupt. A scene is not open mic. We're not here for you. Hold all of your questions until aftercare is over for both parties. 3. Don't assume. If you want to join, touch, or comment, ask. And then shut up if the answer is no. 4, read the room. If people are playing intensely, don't stroll up and ask about their gear like you're shopping at Home Depot. 5, remember, etiquette is foreplay. Respect is hot, and consent is even hotter. Let's be really honest. No one is perfect, and people are gonna make mistakes along the way. It's a learning process, and for some of us, it's harder than others. When I was new, I definitely had awkward questions to ask. I definitely didn't know my timing. I didn't understand the unspoken rhythm of the dungeon. And you know what? I learned. I asked questions at the appropriate times, and if I didn't, I was corrected. And let me let you know, it was a really brief and quick learning experience. That's the difference. If you care enough to listen, to learn, and to grow, you're not going to be that guy. You're just someone that's leveling up in kink. I've talked about that guy enough. Let's talk about when people actually get it right, because those stories deserve all of the praise. At one of my events, there was a newcomer. I hadn't seen him before, and when we talked when he was coming in through the door, he mentioned that this was his first event. When my impact scene was done, this man came up to me and said, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you for letting me watch. It was really great to see. I thought it was beautiful." He smiled, he looked at my toys one more time, and then he walked away. There was no fishing for more, no lingering, just respectful. Due to how this stranger carried himself, in his first time at one of my events, I made sure to make time to sit down and really get to know him later. And to this day, we still talk pretty frequently whenever I see him. There have also been other events where a scene is going on, and some of the bystanders will come and grab myself and say, "Hey, this scene is pretty intense, and I noticed that he didn't have any shears out or any scissors out. I noticed that they were kind of going hard, and she's wearing a gag, and I don't know if they have something for a safe word. Would you mind stopping in and checking on them?" That's etiquette. Quiet, respectful, looking out for someone without making it a large, huge scene or a spectacle. If you want to be memorable in the dungeon, be that person. The one who contributes to safety and respect without stealing the spotlight. Now, we're going to move on to the areas that are a little more tricky. These are the gray areas. Not every faux pas is obvious, and that's what makes it hard. Compliments. Are they okay? Absolutely, but timing matters. Telling me mid scene that my flogging is so beautiful is like complimenting a chef's knife skills while they're still dicing the onions. It's not helpful. It's distracting. But telling me after the scene, once we've wrapped everything up, "I loved watching that. Thank you for sharing it." Chef's kiss. Polished, elegant, concise. Watching from a distance. Yes, scenes are often semi public. If your presence feels heavy, if you're staring with your mouth open, looking like you're watching Animal Planet, it definitely shifts the energy of the room and the scene. The key is posture. Arms crossed, relaxed, respectful. Good. Hands in your pockets with your eyes bulging out of their head. Absolutely bad. Offering help. This is a big one. Someone's struggling with rope. Someone's trying to lift equipment. Someone's aftercare kit is spilling everywhere. Do you swoop in or do you wait? The answer is you always ask. Always ask. "Hey, do you need some help? Do you want some help?" This is etiquette. Silently grabbing their stuff, that's not etiquette. also want to bring up something that people tend to forget. Dungeon etiquette isn't just about you, it's about community culture. When you choose to ignore the rules, when you hover or interrupt or, at worst, assume, you're not just making one person uncomfortable. You're training the room that bad behavior is tolerated. That changes everything. When you model good etiquette, like asking before touching, thanking people for sharing their play, respecting the monitors, you raise the bar. You create a culture where people feel safe. And this is where play thrives. Here's the kicker. You may not have noticed, but plenty of other people notice. People pay attention to others who are following the rules and just have great etiquette. We talk about that. I will not even tell you how many times I've went to the bathroom with some of my other volunteers and dungeon monitors, and we sit there and we gossip about how wonderful someone was behaving, how new guests, new faces, or returning faces have done things that are such great etiquette that we want to go out of our way to hang out with those people and basically become friends. Organizers notice. The DMs notice. Other players notice. You earn a reputation. And in kink, reputation is everything. It's currency. I've had people recommend me for private parties, collaborations, even teaching, not just because of my scenes, but because of how I carry myself in the community. People remember who makes the space feel good and who makes it feel unsafe. When I say, don't be that guy, what I really mean is be the kind of person who makes people want you around, because that's how you get invited back. All right, one last story for tonight before I wrap things up. At one of my events, we had this guy. We'll call him Clipboard. He walks in, already ignoring the waiver line, trying to head straight for the dungeon. I stop him. I say, hey, have you filled out the waiver? He replies to me and says, no, I don't need to do that. I've been to dungeons before. If you would have seen the look on my face, because at that point, I wouldn't have cared if he was one of the biggest furniture makers in the community. You need to fill out the waiver. This energy right here, it's that guy energy. Thinking that you are special and exempt and don't have to sign the waiver before entering my space. Guess what? He was banned and he's never coming back. Now let's compare him, that guy, to another guest that came that night. Brand new, first event, never been to a dungeon, nervous as hell. He asked all the questions, listened to all of the DMs, and then thanked me after for hosting the event. And guess what? He's a regular. He's part of the culture we've created, and he's thriving. This is how etiquette makes a difference. The takeaway for today is that dungeon etiquette is not just about the rules on the wall. It's the thing that keeps the community moving along smoothly. It's the difference between being the joke of the night and being the one that people want to play with. If you're worried about being that guy, you're probably fine, because self-awareness is already half the battle. If you're the one arguing with the DM about why the rules don't apply to you, congratulations. You're the cautionary tale in my next podcast. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Nova Nebula. This is Why I'm Not Invited. Stay hot, stay respectful, and for God's sake, sign the fucking waiver. Bye.